Look around. Everyone talks about getting rich, but very few understand what wealth actually is. They chase numbers. They chase validation. They chase the image of success instead of the architecture that produces it. Machiavelli once wrote, "Men in general judge more by the eye than by the hand." And that's why most people stay poor, because they spend their lives trying to look powerful instead of learning how to become powerful. Let me tell you the truth. Getting rich from nothing has nothing to do with luck, and everything to do with leverage, necessity, and control. I didn't start with wealth. I started with frustration. Frustration that my time belonged to others. Frustration that every month looked the same. Frustration that I was living inside someone else's design. If you want to get rich from nothing, the first thing you must understand is this. You're not building wealth. You're building power. Money is simply its shadow. In this video, we'll uncover Machiavelli's hidden laws, timeless principles that reveal how to quietly get rich without anyone knowing. These are not motivational cliches. They are the same strategic truths used by the most powerful men in history, from kings and rulers to modern-day millionaires. If you've ever felt like the system was built to keep you obedient and average, this is your awakening. Because once you understand these laws, you'll never think about money, success, or power the same way again. Welcome to Machiavelli's Code, where we decode the secret strategies of those who rule in silence. The first law: reject permission. They told you to wait your turn, to play fair, to follow the rules and believe that patience is a virtue. But what they never told you is that the system was never built for you to win. You were born into a game designed to keep you obedient, rewarded not for your intelligence, but for your compliance. From the moment you entered school, you were trained to ask for permission, to raise your hand before you spoke, to wait for approval before you acted. And that habit followed you into adulthood. Now you wait for the right time. You wait for opportunity. You wait for someone to notice your worth. But here's the truth. No one is coming to save you. The world belongs to those who take, not those who wait. The people who tell you to be patient, to be humble, to be grateful for crumbs, already own the table. They need you obedient, predictable, and afraid to act without approval. Niccolo Machiavelli called this the illusion of virtue. He wrote, "A wise ruler must learn how not to be good and use that knowledge as necessity requires. Because those who cling to moral appearances while others play for power always lose." You must stop asking what's acceptable and start asking what's effective. You want freedom? Then stop waiting for permission. Freedom is not granted. It's seized. It's built by those who are willing to move when others freeze, to speak when silence is expected, to act when obedience is demanded. Your boss will not make you rich. Your government will not protect you. Your degree will not guarantee you power. Because power is not given to the polite. It's taken by the bold. The truth is, life doesn't reward fairness. It rewards strength. And the moment you stop expecting fairness, that's the moment your ascent begins. When you realize that comfort is a cage, that approval is a leash, and that obedience is the slowest form of suicide, you'll finally understand why the powerful act without apology. The world bends for those who move with purpose, for those who refuse to wait for someone to say, "You're allowed." So stop waiting for signs. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting for permission to live the life you know you deserve. Because the clock is still ticking, and every second you hesitate, someone else is taking what could have been yours. Machiavelli said, "Fortune favors the bold, not the loud, not the lucky, the bold, those who dare to act while others are still asking for approval. Remember this: obedience builds comfort, defiance builds empires, and if you ever want to build something of true value, stop waiting for permission. Take it. Now." The second law: turn frustration into fire. Every rich man you admire began with a quiet anger. Not rage, not chaos, but a slow-burning fire that whispered, "I was meant for more than this." It's the kind of anger that wakes you up in the middle of the night, not because of pain, but because of potential. An anger at limitation, at dependence, at the smallness of the life you've been told to accept. Most people numb that feeling. They drown it in distraction, endless scrolling, cheap dopamine, the illusion of progress. They entertain themselves to death, mistaking comfort for peace. But the few, the rare few, do something different. They don't run from the fire. They feed it. They convert emotion into motion. That's where every empire begins, not with luck or inheritance or education, but with the decision to do something about it. I remember sitting in a cold, fluorescent office one night, staring at the same dull walls, the same tired faces, and realizing something terrifying. If I vanished tomorrow, nothing would change. The company would replace me in a week. The world would keep spinning like I never existed. That realization burned through me like acid. And instead of hiding from it, I used it. I let it become fuel. That's what Machiavelli meant when he wrote, "Necessity is what compels men to act with greatness." When you have no safety net, when there's no one left to save you, that's when the animal inside you wakes up. You stop walking carefully. You start moving strategically. Because when you have nothing to lose, fear loses its grip on you. You stop waiting for permission. You stop begging for validation. You start creating your own opportunities, your own path, your own name. And slowly, the world starts to notice. Not because you shouted, not because you begged, but because power naturally gravitates toward those who move with purpose. That's the paradox of life. You only rise when you stop trying to be safe. You only win when you stop trying to please, and you only become free when you stop waiting to be rescued. Every man who built something lasting, wealth, power, legacy, started from that same moment of clarity, that realization that no one is coming to save you. From there, it's pure survival. You learn to adapt. You learn to fight silently, think clearly, and act decisively. Because greatness doesn't come from comfort. It comes from necessity. From the moment you decide that your current life is no longer acceptable. That's when transformation begins. So the next time you feel that quiet anger rising in your chest, don't drown it. Listen to it. Because that voice inside you, that discontent, that hunger, is not your weakness. It's your map. Follow it. And one day, others will look at you and call it destiny. But you'll know the truth. It was anger, refined into purpose. The third law: learn to manufacture value. Wealth doesn't come from money. It comes from value, from creation, from the ability to turn an idea into something the world cannot ignore. Every rich person you admire sells something valuable, a product, a skill, or an idea. But the poor, they sell their time. And time is the only currency that can never be replaced. That's why the poor stay trapped, trading hours for survival, while the rich trade systems for freedom. The rich don't work harder. They work differently. They build mechanisms that move even while they sleep. And those mechanisms, those systems, become their true source of wealth. If you have nothing right now, your goal is not to get paid. It's to become valuable. Because when you're valuable, money chases you. Opportunities seek you out. People line up to work with you, learn from you, or simply be near you. So forget chasing paychecks. Chase mastery. Find a skill that the world rewards. Sales, design, writing, persuasion, coding, strategy. It doesn't matter which one. What matters is how far you're willing to go to master it. You see, most people quit before they become dangerous. They stop learning when it gets uncomfortable. But those who keep going, those who refine their skill until it's sharper than everyone else's, eventually bend the world in their favor. That's what Machiavelli meant when he spoke of virtù. Not virtue in the moral sense, but power born from capability. Virtù is the strength that allows a man to impose order on chaos, to take what he imagines and make it real. It's not about luck. It's not about privilege. It's about becoming so capable that the world has no choice but to acknowledge you. That's the secret of the wealthy. They don't wait for permission. They don't hope to be chosen. They build something that makes them impossible to ignore. The poor dream of comfort. The rich design systems. They use their skill as leverage, turning knowledge into structure, structure into power, and power into wealth. And the truth is, you don't need to start rich. You just need to start valuable. Mastery is the ultimate equalizer. Because once you master a skill, truly master it, no one can take it from you. Not the economy, not inflation, not circumstance. Machiavelli wrote, "Fortune is a woman. She favors the bold." And boldness comes from competence, from knowing that no matter what happens, you can rebuild, recreate, and rise again. That's real wealth, not the number in your bank account, but the capability in your hands. Not what you have, but what you can do. So stop asking, how do I get rich? Start asking, how do I become valuable? Because the moment you do, you'll stop chasing money, and money will start chasing you. The fourth law. Use isolation as a forge. When you start to build yourself, truly build, you'll begin to lose people. Not because you did anything wrong, but because growth exposes what others refuse to face. Friends will mock you. Family will question you. Strangers will whisper that you've changed, and they'll be right. Because evolution always looks like betrayal to those who've chosen to stay the same. You'll feel the distance growing between you and the people who once understood you. The conversations that used to excite you will start to feel hollow. Their laughter won't hit the same. Their goals will sound small, and the silence that follows will hurt deeply. But that loneliness you feel, it's not punishment. It's purification. It's the world stripping away everything that no longer belongs to your future. Every king was once a man in exile. Every empire began in solitude, because solitude is where vision is born. It's where the noise fades and you finally hear your own thoughts, raw, unfiltered, and honest. Machiavelli wrote, "The one who becomes master of a city accustomed to freedom and does not destroy it will be destroyed by it." He was talking about cities, but he meant people too. You cannot remain surrounded by those who worship comfort and expect to rise above them. If you do not destroy the old environment, it will destroy your potential. You must choose between belonging and becoming, between staying liked and becoming powerful. Most people never make it past this stage. They crave success, but fear solitude. They want to grow, but they can't bear to outgrow the ones they love. So they stay stuck in small circles, having the same conversations, defending the same excuses, living the same year again and again. But the builders, the ones who rise, they accept the loneliness. They understand that isolation isn't a curse, it's a test. The universe removes what you're addicted to so you can focus on what you're destined for. There will be nights when you question everything, when you wonder if the sacrifice is worth it. But remember, the tree that grows tallest spends the longest time alone in the dark, pushing its roots deep where no one can see. So if you find yourself walking alone, good. That means you're no longer walking in circles. That means you've chosen to evolve. Machiavelli believed that greatness required destruction, not of people, but of illusions. You must destroy the illusion that everyone is meant to understand you. You must destroy the idea that loyalty means standing still, and you must destroy the comfort that keeps you ordinary. Because the truth is this: you can't rise and remain the same. You can't build and still belong. You can't lead and still seek permission. Your exile is not the end. It's the beginning. It's the space where the old you dies and the future you is forged. So embrace the silence. Let it harden you. Let it refine your focus until you no longer crave acceptance, only purpose. Because one day, those who doubted you will see what that loneliness built, and they'll call it destiny. The fifth law: enter the rooms of power. If you want to get rich, you have to step into rooms where rich people move, not to beg, not to ask for help, but to observe, to study how power behaves when it thinks no one is watching, because power has its own language, its own silence, its own rhythm and posture. You can't learn it from books or motivational videos. You have to feel it, breathe it, and let it rewire how you think. Most people never enter those rooms. They convince themselves they don't belong. They wait until they have enough money, enough confidence, enough status. But here's the truth. Belonging is a choice, not a status. The moment you decide you belong, you do. You walk in quietly. You don't try to impress anyone. You observe. You listen more than you speak. You study how they talk, the calm certainty, the lack of urgency. You watch how they make decisions, fast, confident, without apology. You notice what they value: time, leverage, ideas, not approval. And as you keep observing, something starts to change inside you. Your nervous system recalibrates. The chaos in your mind begins to settle. Your definition of normal starts to shift. You stop admiring money and start understanding it. You stop chasing wealth and start thinking like wealth. You start realizing that the difference between you and them isn't luck. It's calibration. They've trained their minds to see abundance where others see limits, to take risks where others seek safety, to act from confidence, not fear. Machiavelli once wrote that the first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. The same applies to you. If you spend your time with small thinkers, you'll inherit their limits. But if you surround yourself with builders, strategists, and doers, your mind will begin to adapt to their altitude. That's how transformation begins, not with money, but with proximity. Wealth is contagious. Confidence is contagious. and so is mediocrity. So when you walk into those rooms, even if you feel out of place, remember this: every rich man was once an outsider. Every leader was once the quiet observer, standing in the back of the room, learning, watching, absorbing everything. Don't underestimate that phase. That's where power is born. In silence, in observation, in the subtle shifts of your own mind. Because wealth doesn't begin in your bank account. It begins in your perception. It's the moment you stop seeing the rich as unreachable and start seeing yourself as inevitable. So walk in. Keep your head high. Don't seek validation. Seek vibration. Let their discipline infect you. Let their confidence challenge you, and one day you'll look around that same room and realize that you no longer feel like an outsider. You've become one of them. The sixth law: persuade like a prince. Machiavelli once said, "Men are driven by two forces, love and fear. Not logic, not reason. Emotion. Every decision we make, every risk, every purchase, every alliance is born from those two primal forces. And if you want to get rich, if you want to build influence, you must learn how to navigate them. Because every fortune, every empire, every movement in history began as a sale, not just of a product, but of an idea, of belief, of vision. You must learn to sell your ideas, your value, your purpose, not through manipulation, but through understanding. Understand human nature. Understand what people fear losing and what they secretly crave. And when you do, you'll see the strings that move the world. Persuasion is not deceit. It's direction. It's the art of aligning other people's self-interest with your own. It's not about forcing anyone to believe. It's about showing them why believing benefits them. That's the difference between a manipulator and a strategist. Manipulators chase compliance. Strategists build conviction. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. He knew that logic rarely moves people. Emotion does. People don't buy what's true. They buy what feels true. And the person who understands this, who learns to speak to both the heart and the mind, will always control the outcome. But here's the part most people miss. You must sell yourself to yourself first. Because if you don't believe in your own value, no one else will. If your words shake, your energy betrays you. If your mind doubts, your results will reflect it. Confidence isn't arrogance. It's evidence. It's the silent conviction that you are capable, that your vision has weight, that your presence matters. And people can feel that. Before they hear your words, they feel your belief. You can't fake it. You can't script it. It must be real, because persuasion starts long before you speak. It starts in how you think. When you walk into a room, you're already selling something. Your certainty, your energy, your direction. People can sense whether you lead yourself or if you're still waiting for permission to. So if you want to master persuasion, stop studying tactics and start studying yourself. Ask, what do I really believe in? What am I willing to defend? Because people don't follow those who talk the loudest. They follow those who move with conviction. Machiavelli's truth was simple, but brutal. Power belongs to those who understand human emotion and have the discipline to use it wisely. You don't win by overpowering people. You win by aligning with what already drives them, by giving direction to their fear, by giving form to their desire. And once you master that, the world bends. Because persuasion isn't about control, it's about creation. The creation of belief, the creation of momentum, the creation of destiny. So remember, before you sell anyone on your vision, sell yourself on your worth, because the most powerful form of persuasion is certainty. The seventh law: measure or perish. You cannot rule what you do not measure. You cannot master what you refuse to count. Most people stay broke not because they lack intelligence, but because they never track anything. They don't measure their time, their output, or their income. They move, but they don't progress. They work hard, but they don't know if that work is building something, or just keeping them busy. They live in the illusion of motion. They confuse activity with advancement. But here's the truth. Power begins with clarity. You can't dominate chaos if you don't understand its pattern. And that pattern only reveals itself when you start measuring. I learned to reverse engineer my goals. If I wanted to make $1 million a year, that meant $83,000 a month, $19,000 a week, $2,740 a day. Suddenly, the dream wasn't a fantasy. It was math. Every day became a scoreboard. Every hour became a choice. Did I move closer, or did I drift further away? That's when everything changed. Success stopped feeling abstract. It stopped being emotional. It became arithmetic. Numbers don't lie. They don't care about excuses. They show you the truth. And the truth is often uncomfortable. Machiavelli once said, "Fortune controls half of our actions, but discipline controls the rest." You can't control the storms of the world, the economy, luck, or timing. But you can control your precision. You can control how you track, how you plan, how you execute. Most people rely on motivation. Discipline relies on measurement. Motivation fades. Numbers remain. Every empire was built by someone who counted. They counted their resources. They counted their moves. They counted the cost of every decision. And they played accordingly. Because when you measure, you see patterns. You see where you waste time. You see where your effort leaks. You see exactly why you're not yet where you want to be. And once you know that, you can fix it. You can optimize it. You can take control. That's what separates the rulers from the ruled. Precision. The weak live reactively. The strong live strategically. They don't guess. They calculate. Every powerful man becomes his own accountant. Not of money alone, but of time, energy, and focus. He treats every hour as an investment, every action as data, every result as feedback. And over time, that precision compounds into dominance. Because fortune may control half of what happens to you, but the other half is entirely yours. Yours to measure. Yours to refine. Yours to rule. So, stop living blindly. Start tracking. Write it down. Count every win, every loss, every step. You'll be shocked how quickly your life changes once you start measuring it. Because power doesn't come from passion. It comes from precision. The eighth law: leverage necessity. The rich and the poor both wake up to the same world, but they don't play the same game. The rich use leverage. The poor use excuses. Leverage is the silent weapon of the powerful. It's how one man's idea becomes an empire, while another man's effort dies in exhaustion. It's not about working harder. It's about multiplying the impact of every move you make. Leverage means using tools that never sleep, systems that scale without your presence, people who believe in your vision, and capital that works while you rest. The poor trade time for money. The rich trade strategy for freedom. And here's the truth most never learn. Necessity is the mother of leverage. When you're comfortable, you tolerate inefficiency. But when you burn your bridges, when retreat is no longer an option, your mind awakens. Every cell in your body begins to hunt for solutions. That's when you stop thinking like a worker and start thinking like a builder. Machiavelli understood this law of human nature. He admired those who created under pressure. He knew that comfort is a slow poison. It dulls the mind, weakens ambition, and breeds decay. But danger awakens the genius within. When you have no safety net, you find wings. When your back is against the wall, you discover what you're truly capable of. Pressure doesn't crush the strong. It forges them. It burns away weakness, leaving behind only focus and hunger. The weak see risk as a threat. The strong see risk as energy, raw power that can destroy or create depending on how it's used. To the fearful, risk feels like fire. To the wise, it is fire, a tool to forge their destiny. Every empire you admire was born from this fire. Every self-made man was once cornered, desperate, and forced to adapt. Leverage was their escape. Discipline was their engine. Pressure was their teacher. You will never become powerful by staying safe. You will never build wealth by avoiding discomfort, because growth and comfort never coexist. So ask yourself, are you using your mind as leverage, or are you using excuses as chains? Are you burning your bridges, or are you building walls around your potential? Machiavelli once wrote, "It is better to act and repent than not to act and regret." The lesson is simple. Fortune favors movement. The weak wait for perfect timing. The strong create it. The rich build leverage. The poor build reasons. And in the end, only one group gets to own their time, their freedom, and their fate. The ninth law: obsess over mastery, not money. The man who chases money will never catch it. But the man who chases mastery, money ends up chasing him. Every broke man thinks his problem is a lack of money. But the truth, it's a lack of value. Money isn't the goal. It's a mirror. It reflects what the world thinks you're worth. Every time I felt broke, I realized it wasn't my wallet that was empty. It was my mind. My skills were weak, my execution sloppy, my standards low. And when you operate like that, life punishes you with scarcity. But when I decided to master something, truly master it, everything changed. When I studied until my eyes burned, when I practiced until it became muscle memory, when I stopped chasing quick wins and started chasing excellence, money began showing up uninvited. Because mastery is magnetic. It pulls people toward you. It makes you rare in a world full of average. You don't have to scream for attention. Your results do the talking. The market rewards those who can do what others can't. It doesn't care about your background, your excuses, or your feelings. It only asks one question: can you deliver? When the answer is yes, everything else follows. Respect, opportunity, wealth. And that's when you understand what Machiavelli meant when he said, "Men rise from one ambition to another. First they seek to secure themselves against attack, then they attack others." Mastery gives you that power. When you're competent, you stop begging for chances. You create them. You stop asking for permission. You earn your throne. Most men want freedom without paying the price. They want success without sacrifice, wealth without work, mastery without obsession. But the universe doesn't work like that. To master anything, you must surrender to it. You must let it break you, frustrate you, shape you. You must give it your time, your patience, your focus, until you become so good that ignoring you becomes impossible. And here's the paradox. When you stop chasing money and start chasing excellence, money begins to chase you. When you stop begging for attention and start mastering your craft, the world starts paying attention. The weak want shortcuts. The strong build skill sets. Money fades. Trends die. But mastery endures. It becomes your identity, your leverage, your freedom. So stop counting dollars. Start counting reps. Stop asking how fast. Start asking how deep. Because every hour you spend refining your craft is another brick in the fortress of your fortune. The man who chases money will always be desperate. The man who chases mastery will always be demanded. And in the end, it's not the man who runs after wealth who wins. It's the man who becomes too valuable to ignore. The final law: build to outlast. Your true wealth isn't about how much you make. It's about how long what you've built survives without you. Anyone can make money. Few can make something that keeps breathing after they stop. The poor chase paychecks. The rich create machines, systems, assets, and legacies that print value even in their sleep. They understand that freedom doesn't come from working harder. It comes from building smarter. That's what Machiavelli meant when he spoke of dominion. Not merely rising, but ruling. Not just surviving the game, but owning the board. He understood that true power is not in motion, but in momentum. The kind that keeps moving when you no longer have to push. A man who builds systems doesn't need to beg for opportunities. He creates them. He doesn't chase wealth. He engineers it. Because wealth is not the goal. Power is. And power means control. Control over your time, your energy, your decisions, your destiny. It means waking up when you choose, working because you want to, and walking away from anything that insults your peace. Most people never reach that point. They spend their entire lives renting their hours to someone else's dream. They die tired, but not fulfilled. The rich think differently. They ask, how can I make this work without me? How can I create something that endures? And then they build it, piece by piece, until their presence becomes optional. That's when wealth transforms into power. When your money earns more money, when your systems feed themselves, when your legacy starts breathing on its own, that's when you've escaped the cycle. Machiavelli wrote, "The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him." The modern version: look at the systems you've built. If everything collapses the moment you step away, you don't own a business, you own a job. True wealth is structure. It's the ability to scale your influence without scaling your effort. It's the calm that comes from knowing your empire can stand even when you're gone. Because in the end, it's not about the cars, the houses, or the bank accounts. Those are side effects. The real goal is dominion over your world, your time, your fate. It's walking through life as the architect, not the laborer. So stop chasing fortune. Start creating it. Build something that outlives you. Something that continues to grow when you rest. Something that whispers your name long after you're gone. That's not just wealth. That's immortality. True wealth doesn't scream. It whispers. It's built quietly, protected carefully, and revealed only when it's too strong to be destroyed. Apply these Machiavellian hidden laws, and you'll learn not just how to make money, but how to make it untraceable, unshakable, and undeniable. If this message spoke to you, subscribe to Machiavelli's Code, where we teach the art of power, discipline, and silent success. Leave a comment below and tell me which law hit you the hardest. And remember, the loud chase attention, the wise build empires. Stay quiet, stay strategic, stay dangerous. This is Machiavelli's code